The very first day when I decided to start the fast, I still remember the taste of the carrots that I took. It was at some kind of student dining hall, and I just took these carrots after 16 hours of the first fast when I fasted on purpose. And the carrots were amazing. The taste was so pure, the rawness was so raw, the orange was so orange, the taste was so thrilling. So it was the very first day since I fasted, and since this day, since 2 years, I never stopped. I wanted to make a short video about what I think was the most interesting and also the less interesting in the intermittent fasting experience. So intermittent fasting is simply a way to eat, and it focuses less on what you eat rather than when you eat. Basically, it implies not to eat for a certain period of time on the day, and usually it's commonly practiced what is called the 16-80. And the 16-8 is when you don't eat during 16 hours and you eat only during this 8-hour period window. I want to emphasize on, first of all, the advantages that I felt when I fast. So I would say the first advantage, basically speaking, was the toilet advantage. For the first time, before I usually didn't fast. Before I didn't fast, and my what was in the toilet was not so good, I can say. And since after, what was in the toilet was something much more the sign of a healthy digestive system. So for this, in maybe 1 or 2 weeks, the fasting completely changed my link to digestion, and now I digest much more better, and I feel myself much more happy when I digest and when I go to the toilet. So for me, this is the first biggest advantage. I would say the second advantage is that it allowed me just to be a little bit more free. I now don't need to eat each time. I eat when I want to eat and when I really feel the hunger. From this angle, a much more free link towards food, and it pushes me to continue. And finally, the third advantage, I would say, throughout these 2 years was the fact that for me, I see intermittent fasting as a little battle. It's a little battle between me and the food, and it's a little battle about the fact that I have the choice about what I do in my life, and I can fight against this hunger, and I can overcome this hunger, and I'm not the slave of food. Of course, till some point you need to eat, but it doesn't mean that you should eat all the time and you need to eat 3 meals per day to be healthy. It's not necessary like this. You don't need necessarily, everyone doesn't need necessarily 3 meals, sometimes five, 6 meals per day just to be healthy. So for me, it somehow shows me that I can overcome my limits, and from this point of view, it makes me proud about me. So for me, it's this aspect is important. This is my advantages that I think there are from fasting. From an objective point of view, from the scientific debates, some other advantages rise, such as better cognitive abilities, because digestion impedes your cognitive abilities. It uses a lot of calories, around 300 calories when you digest, so it's as much as calorie not used for the brain to work Other stuff like regulates the appetite, keep your insulin levels more or less equal or medium around the day. Of course, not everyone will experiment or experience these advantages, but they may interest you if you are into this fasting process, or if you want to jump inside. What I felt much more as a negative point from my fasting point of view were these things. So first of all, I think from the social point of view, fasting can be quite complicated. Society rules time and rules what you should do at which time, and of course, eating is more or less regulated by society, and you should eat at breakfast, at midday, and at the night, the evening. And as soon as you don't fit in one of these cases, you appear to other people like someone not in the trend, not on the same wavelength as them. It happened a lot of time for me that I had to justify myself to say that no, I don't eat at this moment, and no, to refuse some meal. Point of view, it's not so easy, especially when I want to follow my way of eating. Second thing is that actually intermittent fasting made me less flexible. It made me less flexible on two aspects. And these two aspects are the two other bad consequence experiments. So first of all, it's the physiological point of view. The physiological point of view, when I start to eat when I'm not supposed to eat. So for example, if I eat at at 10 a.m. and usually I never eat at 10 a.m. because it's exactly when I don't eat, I will not feel myself completely good. I can only eat a small portion not to feel as sick, but otherwise I would feel really heavy. I would feel heavy weight in my digestive process, and I will not feel completely free. So paradoxically, I just lost some kind of flexibility towards my food intake. And from not only from the physiological point of view, but also from the psychological point of view, the intermittent fasting was not so beneficial for me because, of course, it helped me to break my limits and fight against everything. But on the other side, when I couldn't fight as I wanted, when I couldn't do as I wanted, when I couldn't break my fast, when I couldn't break my fast each time, how I wanted, when I wanted, I felt myself angry, I felt myself frustrated, I felt myself uneasy. Whereas it's okay. Whereas it shouldn't be like this, and I'm working on it. During these 3 years, I can say now if I break my fast, I will feel okay, completely fine. But still, I prefer to fast than not to fast, and it created some kind of somehow a mental rigidity. Is it good? Is it bad? For me, it's a negative because I suppose you should adapt yourself in life, and somehow I cannot adapt myself back to a normal way of eating. But for me, all in all, it may be something good because it shows that I found a new habit and a new way to fuel my body that seems to be happy with me. So the overall disadvantages from the scientific consensus, it is said that intermittent fasting may not be suitable for women for some reasons, usually related to menstrual periods. And some women happen to report that they lose blood they do not have their menstrual during fasting, which causes a little bit of problems. Maybe it's not adapted for children, maybe it can be not adapted for adolescents, maybe it cannot adapted for sportive. For some reason, some sportive will argue that it's really good, some other will argue that it's not. There is a lot of scientific studies about this. I let you read about this if you're more interested. I will just briefly say what I do when I fast. So for 1 year, what I did was dry intermittent fasting, 16/8 mostly, with 2 meals. So basically, what I did was I didn't drink all day and I didn't eat until 4 p.m. At 4 p.m. I drank one sip of coconut water each 10 minutes for 1 hour. And then I usually ate whether a soup or a vegetable juice or just veggies. Then I waited for 1 hour. And then I ate some fruits, melon, watermelon, apples, pineapples, who cares? Maybe maximum three grapes fruit, maybe maximum 3 fruits. Then waited another hour and then take a main meal. Take a main meal with usually carbs, fat, or carbs, fats, and protein, plus a dessert, or sometimes another meal than the dessert. This is how I did for 1 year. Then I stopped the dry fast and I'm more now on intermittent fasting, water fast, with water intake a little bit higher but not so high. I try not to drink when I don't want to drink, and I drink when I want to drink, so it's not like a rigid. Why do I continue to fast? So I continue to fast because for me, I have this philosophy of body, which is we have a body and a body is not a machine. So when you have a machine, the first minute that you start to use the machine, it loses its integrity, its value, and its characteristics. So for example, the first day that you try a car, well, the car will start to lose its properties. First day you try a laptop, the battery will start slowly just to dwindle its level. And the body, it's exactly the inverse. The body is, as soon as you try to use it, it increases its performance on time. So for example, you try to build a muscle, it will destroy the muscle, but the muscle will not remain destroyed. They will grow again after. Of course, this is up to a certain point, up to your adaptability level. Of course, if you just do work out too much, you will just break your muscle. That's not the point. But according to the Hormesis law, if you expose someone to a high intensity, but on a short term period, a high intensity stress, this person will grow higher, stronger and better after. So for me, intermittent fasting is this little stress that you can implement inside your body for it to grow, to be better, to be healthier, and not to should you now practice intermittent fasting, should you do it? Well, what I see, as I am not a health practitioner, I'm not a physiologist, but what I can say is, for me, it's interesting to do it and to try it once. At least once during 1 month. I would suggest, if I would say I would try it, I would suggest you to try it once per week during 1 month. I suppose it's a good start. It can be sometimes recommended and sometimes not, so just be careful. And for those who are ready to jump and don't think they need any help and are completely sure and completely fine, because I can say that it's quite easy and it's easier than you think. Because if you just happen to jump your breakfast, then you do intermittent fasting. Actually, a lot of people do intermittent fasting without realizing it. So you just have to skip your breakfast, eat at midday, and then stop to eat at 8. And then you did it. You are in the intermittent fasting team. Welcome.